we are at week 4 already. I don't know. The pace of this show is exhausting. I feel like I'm going to need to be sent to the outpost at the end of this, just to gather my mentalness. There has been, for those of you who are part of the survivor community outside of the game, there has been lots and lots of comments on Twitter. There's been a lot of nastiness on our own inside group. For those who have played the game, who are in a group with us, know that there's been some mudslinging and some name calling. So I just want to say I'm not the goat, but I am the hippo. So that's just between us girls. So what's been happening this week? We've had a frantic pace. I was saying that Monday and Tuesday seem to be like a sort of slower pace. But no, this week has been all out from day one. And it's been the start of what I can only call as a very, very, very fluid game happening at the moment. There's some people in Survive at the moment who are currently playing who don't quite understand the levels with which the game that the game gets played on, which is cool. Like, I'm not going to judge you if you don't know that, you know, some people play this game in solid alliances and like stay true to that and that sort of thing. Hey Jules, Darren, listen guys, just FYI, my friend Jules finally joined Instagram just to watch these things live. She's tired of me waiting to upload it, so welcome Jules. Welcome to the lives as it happens. Let me just, you're gonna see Rabbit sign on now, and it's only because I need to watch the comments, not here but there. Anyway, so the frantic pace of this game at the moment is intense, and I was talking about the levels with which the game gets played on. I have no judgment towards somebody who's watching, like for example Kilani and Tajan, and they're not on the levels of obsession. Some of the people who are playing are obsessed with this game, watch it every iteration, every season, and they play it with that frame. Okay, I'm not going to judge people who are not like realizing that there's something called a voting block at each of these tribals, where, you know, a little bit of this alliance and a little bit of this alliance may come together to vote out a big strategic threat or a physical threat or whatever, or to get somebody that's beneficial to both blocks out. There's no judgment here, because to be honest, there's a lot of stuff happening on the beach that we as the viewer don't know the backstory to. So we're figuring it out, going, why does this seem so crazy? And it's because of something that's called pre-gaming. And you've heard it a lot come up in the episodes. Now, let me just give you a quick rundown of what pre-gaming is. When you get cast as a returner, I was not, so this is from secondhand information. You have a phone call with LaRue, says, hey, listen, are you available? Can you play? I'm sending you an NDA now. You have to sign. What NDA means, a non-disclosure form. Non-disclosure agreement. So you can't discuss it with anybody. You're literally bound up by, you could be sued. And listen, I don't mean to play games, but I was almost kicked off for saying something to the wrong person when I was cast. So they don't take it lightly. And also, you also need to remember that as you sign an NDA, they have a backup for you. So if you screw up, say for instance, something happens in your family, or you mess up with the NDA or something, don't be dumb to think that you were their only hope at that character, at that position in the game. They have a backup if you screw something up, and they'll be like, adios, Jean, you're a dick. I'm going to go with somebody who fills that kind of character for us. So that's what happens behind the scenes. Now, when we talk about a pre-game, a lot of people already have connections. They're friends outside the game. Some of them never played together, but have a connection. They have a friendship. They have kind of the same circles that maybe they move in. So there's a lot of people who are currently playing, who have met at viewing parties, who have met at finales, even before they played the game. Somebody like Seamus or somebody like Dino, these people, Jacques, were a part of the Survivor watching community, very similar to a lot of the people who are here tonight, who are friends. They play online Survivor together. They have a friendship in the real world that sometimes can translate into the game. So when you hear somebody talking about pre-gaming, that's what they mean. They mean that they have relationships, they've made promises to each other. If we ever get to play, and I don't mean to like say that people have been doing this even within an NDA, but I'm pretty sure there were conversations that were happening on the DL, a braai at somebody's house in the attic or something where nobody could see them or tap them or whatever. And that's why these relationships on the island seem so set in stone. If you look at somebody like the No BS Alliance, if you look at Felix and Dante's relationship from their season, that meant that they did a lot of stuff together. They do press, they do their finale, they travel to, all those sort of things happen, and maybe friendships get formed. I'm not saying anybody has spoken outside of their NDA, but I'm just trying to put context to this pre-gaming that perhaps not a lot of people understand. Say, for example, Meryl and Steffi and Marion have met somewhere else and they're like, hey, you know, we're fantastic, fabulous females. Perhaps one day, if we get to play together, we've got this relationship and we're going to go balls to the wall. This is what they mean about pre-gaming. I actually think the people who are not doing well, I think the people who have been hamstrung in this game, it's because perhaps they have too many relationships outside of the game and they don't know which of those relationships are real at this point. Because let me tell you who is the ultimate player of Survivor. The ultimate. The person who knows the most. The person who knows the personalities best. And that person is production. They have psychologists, they have crew, they have producers, they have people who know the people. And what they also know is they know the big picture. They know that we're going to have this kind of challenge. We're going to have this kind of reward. We're going to make people make this decision at this time of the game. And those things are things, even if you're as smart as somebody like Dino, who watches a lot of Survivor, you can't predict what is going to happen from the production side of things. So to have everything pre-game and tied in a bow and a knot, I don't think it's working at this point. I'm seeing lots of people turn on their friends. If I look at the full package alliance at the moment, we're seeing Marion, Meryl, and Steffi, who genuinely probably believe when they step foot on an island that they were going to sit final 3, or one of them would be in the final 2 and the rest of them would vote for them. At the moment, that doesn't look like it's going to be happening because real feelings have been hurt. And what I'm finding so fascinating is this idea of hypocrisy in the game, right? So everybody believes that nobody else would have pre-gamed, or maybe they believed everybody pre-gamed. And now when you're calling somebody else out for something that you did, this is heavy in this game at the moment. It came up in that last tribal council where, not the last one, it was when Steffi was voted out. And Tayshan said to Steffi, you know, Tayshan says to Meryl that on the beach during the day, he says that your people have put your name forward to me and they tell me this and they're lying to you and they're lying to me. And what I find interesting is that in that moment, Meryl calls him out and says, but hold on, Tayshan, have you not lied? Have you not told somebody a story and then gone back on that story because that's what you need them to believe is going to happen? And so there's this weird hypocrisy happening in the game. And I understand. I'm going to get to these comments in a little bit. I understand that it hurts. Feelings are hurt. And I understand that there's a lot of anger, there's a lot of emotions in the game. I understand it. I get it. There's a lot of emotions outside of the game. There's stuff that gets carried into your real life where you really don't have a lot of time for other people. You have, I don't know, you just don't enjoy the people because of what happened on a beach somewhere playing a game. And so this idea that it's only a game is tough. It's so tough to, in that moment, remember that it's a game. It's not personal. I'm not voting Meryl out because I don't like Meryl. It's either because she's a threat or she's the threat to my alliance, or I can't see myself beating her at the game. And then it sort of gets mixed in between. And some of the stuff you say in a confessional, you watching for the first time as an episode is airing, or maybe you watched a little bit before, but you have your real feelings hurt, like your adult feelings are actually slayed. So this idea of pre-gaming and relationships and the hypocrisy for me is something that I'm struggling to watch and to try and put myself into this game. If I look at the difference between somebody like Tony being voted out and then Dante both equally as pissed, want to burn things down. Tony sort of went out saying jokingly, hi, I'm the mayor of Ponderosa, but really being blindsided by the fact that she thought she could trust people in a game that you can't trust people, and then got voted out. You also have to vote people out before you even get to merge. So now the hypocrisy of being voted out, having your feelings hurt, but then other people can't have their feelings hurt when they write your name down. It's bizarre. And so what I'm seeing is somebody like Dante, who I have the utmost respect for, by the way. I've had long, deep conversations about life and love and the true meaning of whatever with Dante. I really enjoy the dude. He's so worldly. He's got such cool views on the world and the way he relates to the world and his views on life and nature and like being connected to humans. And he's such a great guy. He takes this game so seriously. He is so competitive that it broke my heart. It broke my heart, not when he was voted out. I saw that coming. But when he went onto the jury the next day and wouldn't look at the players playing, I see somebody being voted out, for example, Jacques in his season. When he gets voted out and he says, well done, guys, you played the game better than me, and I appreciate that. Vanna getting voted out. He knew we were coming. Somebody had to take the shot first. He get voted out. He's like, well played, guys, appreciate it. You did the things. If I ever get voted out, I really hope that is the way that I carry myself and say, well played, guys. Y'all took the shot before I shot. I shot some shots. I got some people out, but you shot me before I shot you. And I really, the way that Dante reacted to being voted out was such a, I'm struggling with his lack of like respect for the people still in the game. And I know it's rich or whatever, and some people are like, who are you to have an opinion on whatever? But it's tough, guys. I won't lie to you. It's tough watching somebody who you have a relationship being voted out, and that moment is actually it's super tough to do. But in the vein of the game you're playing, you view that person who you have to vote out as a difficult one, as like, this guy's too much of a threat, like I have to get rid of him. And then they go onto the jury and they just spew daggers at you, or in Dante's case, doesn't even respect you enough to look at you. And now you live with another layer of emotion, and that is guilt. The guilt that you did where you voted somebody else out. And if you have enough wherewithal at the end to be like, own that move, be proud of that move, and get that person who you voted out's vote, it's tough. That's where I failed, because all of a sudden, all of these people were like, hated me at the end. And it's so difficult to deal with an emotion like that, which is like visceral. You can feel it. You know, in one of the episodes this week, one of my favorite moments is when Phil like tries to cut the tension. He's like my favorite human ever. Besides Taryn, who's just joined. Taryn is my actual favorite human. She's my bae. But Phil, second favorite human ever. And so it's hard to watch the bitterness that is already boiling. And every vote, it's just going to get more and more crazy. And I guess that's the beauty of the game, but I just wish that there was less hatred and like relationships ruined. And I guess that's the downside of pre-gaming, right? So you've made real relationships, and then what was said in private and maybe now what you're having to do are two different things, and now you're having to deal with the fallout of saying you would go to the end with somebody and then realizing midway through that they have every advantage in the game, and now you have to vote them out. Anyway, so that's my view of what's happening at the moment. That part that it's hard to watch, very hard. Let me get to some of the comments before we even move on. Okay, do you think the game has evolved too much for Kilani and Tash? I don't think so. I think they are going to go further than a lot of the people who were massive game bots, who are massive fans, because just think about this. Who do you vote for if Tajan and Kilani sit at the end together? There was a conversation on the beach today that said, today, I rewatch everything, not today, I rewatch everything today, but where Dino and Marion sit and they talk about who they would ultimately love to win this game, and it would be somebody who's a massive fan and be a massive ambassador to the game, which is awesome. That's like gold star, gold medal. You want like somebody who's like playing the game flawlessly, like Meryl, like Steffi, like Dante, like all these people who have such huge games at the moment. You want them to sit at the end and say, I own it, give me the 2 million, we move on. But that's maybe not what's going to happen. So do I think that the game has evolved? I do. However, that doesn't mean that you can't win if you're not caught up with how the game has evolved, because ultimately the game is played by human beings. And the ultimate thing with this season is the human beings in the game, every single one of them believe that they played the game incredibly well. And if you are Tajan and Kilani, you may be able to stroke some egos and make them fall into this comfort where they think that they are comfortable in the game enough that they don't make the big play for themselves. For example, what happened with Meryl. That finesse is a people thing. It's not a strategy thing. The way that the No BS Alliance had to delicately massage that move was a thing of beauty. Do I think that Tajan and Kilani could have done the same move? I don't. However, if Tajan and Kilani sit at the end, does it mean that they don't deserve to win Survivor? I don't believe that. I don't believe in deserve. Tajan doesn't deserve to get taken on a challenge reward because he came second. I don't believe in deserve. It's tough. It's tough, guys. I didn't deserve to win because I didn't win. I think the person who deserves to win is the one who does. Because this game is played on so many levels. You have to outwit, you have to outplay, and you have to outlast. Dino said it. You can't outwit and outplay if you didn't outlast. However, some people's game is to not win. Funnily enough, some people are okay to be remembered, to be a great villain, to make the loved ones challenge, to make merge and be the ultimate villainous jury member. But if your goal is to win this game, you have to beat the other players. And how that happens is different to everybody. Some people don't have respect for me. I was called a hippo this week because I was lazy and slept a lot. But that's because I beat them and they were bitter. So it's all about your view on the game. Ultimately, I see it. If you sit at the end, that means that somewhere you probably won immunity when it bloody well counted. I did that twice. And the second part is you have to then take all of the stuff that you've done, good and bad, and own it. And that should mean that you get the votes that you deserve. And you win. I believe that if you don't get the votes at the end, you didn't deserve to win. I don't believe in deserve and you're a fan and you're a mega fan and all this shit. If you played the game and you made it to the end, you deserve to win, in my opinion. But there are very few people who agree with me, and they want this incredible trajectory of a game where you've got these big, bold moves. But in a game of returners, actually being low-key is a very, very strong strategy. Somebody like Felix at the moment is playing such a great game because he is letting these big personalities like cannibalize themselves. And he's sitting back at tribal council laughing and giggling, saying, I don't know what's going on. Does he not know what's going on? Of course not. He knows exactly what's going on. He is sitting next to the two biggest strategic players at the moment in the game, which is Dino and Philip. And to sit there saying 100%, I don't know what's going on is absolute nonsense. And he is so good at finessing his way. There have been some really good characters at the moment playing so well. Steffi was one of them. Steffi got tripped up by a couple of her emotions, right? Steffi was in such a powerful position. She was playing this game really well. The problem was she was being tripped up by her emotions, I think, around food. And I also think around losing at tribal, getting one of those, right? So Steffi bases her game on wanting to avoid being seen as a challenge beast, but she believes in her heart that she's this challenge beast. You know who wins at the end of that sentence? Production. Because they make the challenges that anybody can win them. You see Marion winning a challenge. Marion has gone into this game believing she would never win a challenge. And here she is coming in. I think she was third last out of the gates. Maybe Shane was before. I can't remember. Kilani, I don't think, made it out. Marion was the one who came out last. It was one of the stories like mine, where you come from behind, you've already written yourself out, and somewhere something trips and you win that immunity. And Marion was in trouble, guys. So that was one of those things where Survivor production, the people who come up with this game are the ultimate players, and you can't predict that. So at some point, your pre-gaming is going to be hamstrung because of the people who make this game, with sending people to outposts where they have decisions to make, which could ultimately land up with you getting immunity when you weren't supposed to in the grand scheme of the pre-game or whatever. So ultimately, I think the pre-game is hurting the people who have done it the hardest, but that's just my opinion. Morris, it's cool, you're late, all good, you're here now. If you've played Survivor Online with Dino, you don't leave a friend. Oh, I see what you're saying. He's mean. Here we go. Okay, that one's not loading. Let's just see. Where are we with the comments? Sorry. Okay, here we go. Yeah, Dante. Morris is saying Dante smiled when Marion was voted out. Agreed. I'm gonna get to the Mahindra in a second. Here we go. Would you have pre-gamed if finalists could be cast and you were on? I don't know. My view of this game. Well, firstly, to be honest with you, not a lot of people are my buddies. To be completely honest with you, I've got like social relationships with a lot of people, but to be honest with you, not a lot of people are like camping with me on the weekends and whatever, you know, like I didn't make a lot of friends, and I'm okay with that because I believe that I don't have to be friends with every person in the world. Like I'm okay with us being socially cool and what have you, but if we're not friends, it's cool. Like, meh, I don't want to believe that we're friends and then we're actually not. And you just pre-gaming. So I'm cool. Like, let's be social, let's be friendly, let's respect one another. But I don't have a lot of like friends in the game who I think would be cast in the same season as perhaps maybe I would, or this one that's playing now. To be honest with you, if I was in this season right now, I would know Dante from a long, I wouldn't even, I had coffee at Dante's coffee shop once. Who else is in the season that I would have any kind of relationship with? I've spoken to Meryl on social media a couple times. I don't have a relationship with anybody, so my pre-gaming would be very bland. Maybe I've spoken to Teresa a couple times as well. Maybe that would have been a connection, but I don't think my pre-game would have been very solid. And because of the way that I think about this game as being people and being fluid, I don't know whether pre-gaming helps, in my opinion. So that's maybe my answer. I believe that the game cannot be predicted before you step foot on it. And with this one, a little bit more, because you knew that you were either going to be on a maybe, I don't even know how far ahead they knew that kind of thing. But you either going to be on a pre-merge or a post-merge, and perhaps that made things a little bit more straightforward. But imagine you pre-game and you decide, oh, I'm going to work with this person, then you land up on 3 different tribes and you don't ever get to play with them. So what was the point? So I'm not sure, but Sheldon, to be honest with you, I don't know. Dante's loose change dwindling again. This man knows who's dangerous in his season, but he was too pushy. He had such a great start and then he lost. He got so focused, and I know Dante's here, and I don't want to make, I don't want to step on any toes here, but at the moment, and somebody in the episode said that there's still a lot of game to play, and I agree with that. But at the moment, Dante is one of the most overrated players at the moment. He's got such a huge target on his back. And I don't know if he's playing this little puppy dog thing so that people take that target off of his back. But at the moment, and he says it in one of his confessionals, he's been slow to make the moves because other people have brought the moves to him, which have benefited him, so he's gone along. But at the moment, besides Dino and Philip massaging Meryl not to play her 50-50 or whatever other thing that she had up her sleeve, that was a move that he can own at the end. But right now, he's like, oh, you want Steffi? Oh, okay. I don't know if y'all are lying to me, but this suits me, so I'm going to go along with it. But it's hectic because Dante got so focused on Dino being this massive threat because he was good at puzzles and he has a lot of connections in the game. I think that kind of hamstrung him. I think he was so focused on the fact that Dino was his target that he wasn't looking at his closest allies, and he believed in his pre-game because him and Meryl have a real relationship in the game, that he wasn't looking at the Judas next to him. Not that I think Meryl's a Judas. I thought she played a very, very smart move there. Somebody like Tony, for example, as well. Tony's coming from a really decent place when she's like, when she was giving Dino a lot of idols and stuff, except what's coming from a good place and what it looks like in the game is actually harming Dino. Where she stands up and says, Dante, you have my vote at the end. Then Marion the next day in a discussion with somebody says, Tony's already voting for Dante. He's dangerous. We can't keep him here. He already has a vote on the jury. So what's coming from a good place and you're pre-gaming whatever relationship you had before then, you now openly say, I'm going to do this for you, thinking it's coming from a good place, but you're actually making a player weaker. So there's so many different things that are harming Dante in the game. But for me, it was his bully tactics. And it's not that he is a bully in real life. He's just so competitive and so intense that he has got this tunnel vision and he could not see anything else. And I feel like that's what kind of got in his way. But I have the utmost respect for the man. He is just a wonderful human. Somebody said they'd like to be a fly on the wall for a Dante Jean conversation. It goes deep, man. Dante was on point until he said, now you owe me a favor. But somebody like Shane is really surprising me, man. He's standing there going, you can't talk to a guy like this. Like, you can't bully him into like being with you and trusting you, because guaranteed he's made me do it once and then stab you in the back for the way you treated him. So that he was on the right track, like, yeah, bro, you owe us. But the way that he did it, there was so much more finesse that could have happened there. Be like, dude, we saved you. These people are coming hard for you. It's like your own people. But yet he came at him like a bomb. And Tayshian clearly doesn't respond well to that. Kilani doesn't even respond well to it, being told what to do. And these loose change players that are available to them now, they're talking down to them because they think they don't know what they're doing. And maybe that's true. However, there's still a vote that you can use, which means that if you take a little bit more humanity and treat them kindly and give them a home when they're looking for a place to stay, might count better at the end in the long run, but I'm not there, so I don't know. Dino, yeah, how's your Mahindra, bruh? You know, I wanted to chat about this. There's something in Survivor called the car curse, which means for the casual viewers out there that in general, if you win a car in the season, it means you won't win Survivor. Across all of the seasons of Survivor, everywhere, when you win a car, it means that you don't win Survivor. So if you have a pool of players at the moment where you have your own online Survivor going and Dino's in your pick of players, the chances of Dino winning Survivor now just like dropped. So maybe the curse gets broken, maybe it doesn't, but that is the car curse, unfortunately. Right, I would love to be on here we go. Jules and Taryn are favorite people. I think some of the bitterness also has to do because returnees have something to prove and maybe playing with a little bit of extra emotion. I agree, but also I think that because we've played before, because we have strong personalities, and that's probably one of the reasons why we were cast, is that we all think that we are great at Survivor. And you know, if somebody asks me, do I think I'm an incredible Survivor player? My answer is no, because I don't actually. Sometimes these moves are so above my head. That's why I have to watch this stuff twice, bruh. Because sometimes the strategic game that a lot of people play is like I would never have understood flat out when Meryl said to me that she would want to send Marion home. I'd be like, but she has immunity. I would have had to be told 2 or 3 times, been like, no, Jean, but then her vote doesn't count either. But what is in my strength is the people side of things. But a lot of the players who are playing now and being a returnee, I think all of them have this idea that they are the best Survivor player and they didn't get an opportunity to show that. And that is what is making it so good to watch, because each and every one of them think that they 100% making it to the end. And there are 20 players. A lot of people are not going to get there. So that's where I think this immense competitiveness comes in. However, all I ask is that when you go out, you kind of like Meryl and you're like, well played, guys. You took the shot. You had to get rid of me with all my advantages. You did well. You know, when Jacques goes out and says, congratulations, guys, you played this game well, you got rid of me, I would have won had you not done it. Like, I don't know. I just feel that maybe it's because I've lost a lot of things in my life. I never come first. And so maybe, and I remember being in softball. This is weird. I've taken a weird turn here. When I was younger playing softball and hockey, we used to play in leagues that were above ours. And so we were generally bottom ranked league anyway. So we got so used to losing, and so many of our players got so frustrated and they would be like bitter, not want to shake hands and stuff. And I have very much this idea that I enjoy the game and the playing of the game. I'm honored to be invited to play, and I enjoy the actual game, that at the end of it, win or lose, if I've had a good time, I'm going to thank the people around me. Maybe that's how I view competing, because I've never been the best at anything. But if you're somebody like Steffi, who's competed at like national levels of stuff, perhaps you can't in your brain let the idea of losing come in here, because that will take you away from your ultimate goal. The idea of losing slipping into your mind. And so maybe that pressure of like, you've got to be first, you've got to be first, you've got to be first, because if you're not first, you lost. Whereas me, I'm like, cool, I enjoy the journey. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I wouldn't be as bitter, but who knows? I'm quite a big bitch, so perhaps I would love it. Would not be happy for other people. So Heal God, you think returnees are likely to be more bitter? I don't know why this sounds so familiar. So y'all are all friends. If you had to go in, all of you, let's talk about pre-gaming. Marius, Heal God, Padil, Sheldon, all the guys who have played stuff together. If you guys went into Survivor, you telling me that you haven't made an alliance to work together? Also, I should give you my numbers in case there's like a fans versus favorites. Anyway, let's see what else is happening here on the comments. I do want to just go through some of the stuff on the episodes. Marion winning immunity, man, that was so awesome. She beat the Puzzle King at the puzzle. Yeah, Dino says hardly a Puzzle King. Marion beat him, Meryl beat him at a really, really good puzzle in the challenge where they had to run up the hill. So at the moment, Dino won the puzzle, which he's actually played before, because I remember, I'm pretty sure it was at the finale for season 7, where they had a bunch of the games, and the circle game that we did was there. The table platform game was there, I think. And the one with the different, we played, I never got to play it. I think, if I'm not mistaken, PK did it on our season. So I've never done that one. But yeah, you know, he's won a game. He did win a game, but there wasn't even puzzles on those ones. So it's interesting how we all get these labels, and hey, we just, you know. Richard saying I must get a tattoo with a few people. Listen, I said to myself this week, I was like, I'm going to get 2 tattoos when I go, if I ever get to play again. And the one will be a tiny little hippo, and the other one will be perspective. Because I think if you can try and understand why somebody would want to make another move, right? So somebody like Kilani, and I want to talk about Kilani. I want to talk about how Kilani is finally wanting to make moves. She's playing, she's doing the things. However, she is 2 or 3, as I think Dino said, 18 hours behind in wanting to make these moves. And so for Kilani, right, I'm not knocking Kilani. Kilani believes, sitting at home watching these episodes, that it's all been edited wrong, that she is the one making the moves, that she did want to make this move, that she was a part of things. And it's unfortunate because her perspective of the game is what she saw. So every time she came up with a move, she was involved with the decision making, she went to tribal council, the person that they discussed went home. What else is there for Kilani to base her idea of where she is in the game on? It's what she's seeing. We're seeing the other side with another 12 perspectives. And that's the big thing for me, is to try and keep your perspective, try and understand why somebody would want to get you out. What does this look like? What information are you being fed, and what information do other people are being fed? Like, that for me is one of the most important parts of Survivor. How can you get a better perspective of the information that you are receiving? So that would be my tattoo. Sunday fan camping trip. Oh my God. Curse gets broken. Let's go, Dino. Not that it made a difference, but should Marion have been allowed to give Shane immunity? I was actually, again, in terms of like Marion and attack her, love her, hate her, that woman's brain like oozes Survivor. She is, when, you know, somebody was attacking her for crying and being a super fan and all this shit. But there is a difference between somebody who watches Survivor and somebody like Marion who sits and thinks about the game and like little moves. She's operating on so many different levels that the fact that she asked to give the immunity, I just would have been flabbergasted being sent home, even though you know that it's happening. Sometimes you're being fed information and then it actually happens and you're still blindsided by it. The fact that they would send her out, and then she's got the clearness and clarity for it to say, hold on a second, I've got this necklace. Can I give it to somebody else? Imagine she gave it to Meryl and was like, I know we're fighting, bish, but we said we're going to play together. Wow! And then all of a sudden those other dudes had to do something about it. That would have been like, blah, mind-blowing. Or to give it to Tajan, like, Tajan, let's play together. I see you, bruh. I want to save you. Imagine Tajan coming out going, thank you, I appreciate it, I owe you, whatever. So the idea of just thinking about who to play for, but she's solidifying again a really strong connection she has with Shane. That's also pre-gaming. They played together many years ago. And they would have discussed it. Hey, dude, if we ever play again, we're always going to play together, right? And it makes sense for them to do that. And somebody said a sentence in one of the episodes that says, the length that you have been friends for kind of determines the strength of your relationship. So if you've only just made friends with somebody on Instagram to pre-game and make sure that you are both playing together, but you've only just made friends with that is not as strong as a bond that you've made with somebody when Marion and Shane actually played this game. So it's an interesting thought to think. I think so, Sheldon, at least before she gets sent out, but once you've been sent, it leaves with you. Yeah. But Merle's advantage said that person must leave immediately. If it wasn't allowed, they wouldn't have allowed it. That's the bottom line. And it didn't really make any impact on anything. I would not make an alliance with some little god. I don't like him. Oh yes, Laura, sorry, you're also there, my bad. First vote for deal, boom, gone. I would play with Laura only. Jules asking, are the jury allowed to deliberate and discuss what they're seeing in the game at Ponderosa? 100%. So one of the things that I've realized is that I lost the game with one decision, and that was voting out Werner. If I had voted out Tony, who was my biggest critic, she did not like me, she does not like me, and that's okay. I don't have a problem with that. So if I had voted out Tony from the game, Tony was campaigning against me at Ponderosa. That's what she's allowed to do. If I had left Werner in the game, Werner would have been able to give insight to a lot of people who only had the perspective of what they were seeing. Once you get home and you see the edit, you see that I am a part of a lot of different moves and votes and what have you, and that it wasn't as bad as you thought I was playing, which is what some of the jury members told me when they said we made the wrong decision. If I'd left Werner in the game, he would have campaigned for me to win. My perspective was so wrong in the game that I thought his relationship with Tom was stronger than mine. And I thought if he was going to campaign against me at Ponderosa for Tom, then I would have been dead in the water. But I made a big mistake, and I'm happy I own it. That's the decision that I made with a clouded brain, with a lack of sleep, a lack of food, highly emotional, highly irrational. I voted out my biggest alliance who could have done campaigning for me at Ponderosa. So yes, they are allowed to discuss it. They're even allowed to discuss stuff on the jury. They're discouraged from it while it's happening. So for instance, if you think something's weird, you'd be like, I don't know what's happening. Why are they doing that kind of thing? But they try and limit the interaction that the jury has with the people voting, because it can sway your decisions in the game by seeing visually when people are eye rolling and stuff, but you can't really control that. So luckily there's only one Fadil. My team says Laura, Sis, Fadil, Heal God, what's our alliance name? I also wanted to know, when you're playing the game, it's obviously different to trust people. Did you find that fear of trust extended outside the game? If you watch my season, I trusted too many people. It was so interesting, my perception of myself going into the game. I thought I was going to be this badass player, and I actually went into the game, and if you look at it, trusted a lot of people all the time and played real open cards. My girlfriend will tell you that I am too honest. Sometimes I don't have to say what is literally in my brain. And it's interesting. I didn't know that I was that way. So seeing myself in the game, trusting so blatantly, was very interesting for me. I don't know that I distrust a lot of people in the game, in the game of life, but I think I'm a pretty trusting person. But I think I'm a little bit more able to read people than I was before I went into the game. And not just people, but the room and the situation. I think I'm very aware of trying to make people feel comfortable. And that will often disadvantage me because and Taryn will tell you, but I will put myself down in a room. I'll make a joke about me first. Firstly, there's two sides to that. I want to take the ammo from you and use it against myself. So now you have no ammo. But also then if there was an uncomfortable person in the room, now all of a sudden I've broken the ice. I've made you say, look, I'm not that bitchy person that I look like, and that I'm quite approachable and that maybe I'm funny or we can be friends or have a good time or whatever. So that's kind of what I do. And I don't know whether it means that I do or don't trust people, but I don't think so. I think I'm pretty open with trust. I might just learn that if you break my trust, then I won't give it to you again. But I don't know. I don't really know if I have like big enemies in the real world. I don't really care. Maybe that's the bottom line for me, is I really don't care about your opinion of me. Really. I mean, they say that's really good for your mental health because your opinion of me is your business. I'm not going to do much to change it if you're already steadfast in your opinion of a person. Some people, I love to talk and discuss and figure out people. I love talking to people who are different to me. I love talking to people who have different opinions of me because I don't want to fight. That's the difference. I want to talk and try and understand where you come from. And that's what I do for a living, like talking to people and listening. It doesn't mean that we have to be friends in real life. And by friends, I'm not talking about, hey, let's have a braai. I'm talking about like who I would call when my mom's in hospital, who I would call if I'm stuck on the side of the road. Those real friendships. If I'm in like crisis, who do I call? So I have a lot of really close friends. Jules is one of them. These people are my day ones. But I have a lot of other friends who socially we gather. But I don't need the approval of other people. That's why I don't, when I'm playing, I won't go on Twitter. I don't do it because I don't care what you think. I played, you didn't. You don't know what was going through my mind at the time. And your opinion of it really means nothing to me because it didn't change what happened. And it's not going to change what happened. That's kind of how I think my brain works about people and stuff. So love it or hate it, it is what it is. I don't really care. My mouth would say I trust you, but my face would say whatever. Yeah, that's also another issue I have with my face, Heal God, is that a lot of people can read what is happening in Jean's mind by what's happening on her face. Let's talk about the episode, right? So Monday we had Tony being voted out, our first jury member, and the mayor, self-appointed mayor of Ponderosa. Which it's interesting, the stuff that was coming out of her mouth versus what was being said on her face was too different. Like she was devastated to be again blindsided by people that she trusts. For me, Tony's number one downfall is that she plays a game where you have to lie, cheat, and steal, and she wants people to trust her, and she wants to trust people, and then is surprised when people lied to her and betray her trust. And so it's kind of a lamb to a slaughter because she's going into a game knowing that you have to lie to people and betray people's trust, and then when it happens to her, it's like this massive personal attack on her. And I feel bad for her because it's just the way her brain works. So Tony being voted out, not a big surprise. That challenge where they had to hang on the rope on that angle with like calves burning, I never seen that before, and that was, I would just look at that going, yeah, wouldn't be able to do that one either. And I don't know whether anybody could tell, but if those ropes were at different lengths for different people's heights, because some people seem to be standing more on tippy toes than others, but that was real hectic. And of course, the king of the game at the moment, bloody well Philip, pees on himself. Let me explain to you what happens. It was such a good TV moment, man. We got about 10 minutes, so any more questions or comments, then let them on there. Phil peeing on himself is so funny because when we get to a challenge, right, we are put into holding where we're not allowed to say anything because the bottom line of Survivor is if it doesn't happen on camera, it doesn't happen, and that's for your benefit. We can't strategize or talk or say funny things or whatever off camera because if it doesn't happen, then you don't know what happened, right? So we're not allowed to talk, and they have to get the cameras ready. So maybe sometimes there's a I don't know, whatever, somebody's camera's not working, or they don't have an angle set up, or they're checking something for safety, whatever it might be. In those moments, they say, does anybody need to go and pee? And they would do it a couple times, guys. And throughout that, there's what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people on merge. And they will say at different times, I need to go pee. 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 I need to go. And so the chances of people having an opportunity to go pee like 2 minutes before they walk onto the challenge is real. And he also would have waded through the water before he got up on the platform. Like, was there no opportunity for him to pee in those moments? But anyway, I guess with maybe the lapping of the water, Bra hadn't squeezed every little thing out. So yeah, that was one of the funniest moments. Just so funny. Pepper Inditcher. Does Steffi go home with an idol that she could have used in that episode? 100% she did. Or could it have been used later? It could have been used. Steffi did go home with the idol in her pocket, unfortunately. Super bummed. Steffi, in her exit interviews, if anybody ever wants to watch the additional information, so the Ponderosa videos and what happens when people hold up their votes, we often say a little thing like, Dina, I'm really sorry, but you won the car, so we can't break the curse, so you got to go home. Bye. In those, that thing gets recorded and you can watch it on mnet.co.za. And they also have the Ponderosa videos and also the video of them immediately as they walk off set. They get into a van and they get driven back to, I think they get put in a little hut and they do the physical, they get weighed and they get their heart pressure and everything checked by the medical team, which happens every time we stop the game. So for tribal council, for immunity challenges, the medics are always checking your health. To make sure that, they are pushing these players, guys. I don't mean to be funny, but a lot of people are like, oh, they're getting a lot of food. What? Dina pointed out they're eating or have an opportunity to win actual food every 3 days. They have very little. The rice and the lentils is what they're eating. So you want to tell me they're having a lot of food when they get a handful of sustenance maybe once a day. Maybe. You saw Kilani at one of the challenges, like, zone out. That is not because she was like, oh, let me be dramatic. That's because her body said, Nance, I'm done. I don't have enough water or food or whatever it was. The conditions in this season, the producers said, cool, we're going to give you 2 million rand if you win, but we're going to make you work for it. We are going to push you to the edge of your sanity and your physicality. The challenges are harder. The living conditions are harder. You see that shelter that they build them? People are like, oh, they got their shelter built. Bruh, that thing's a piece of shit. It's got like one board. They no sides. Have you seen the wind there? That's a cuck thing, man. Because they want them to go to the depths of their struggle. Because why? You make irrational decisions. You're emotional. You make the wrong decisions. You make the right decisions. You push to a point that in your real life you will never. And that's what people watching the show will never understand. The depth at which you are at when you make a strange decision. I don't care if you played online, whatever. Measured to different heights, but reach was a bit of an issue. That's talking about that rope challenge. The rope hang reminds me a lot of the Survivor AU challenges from Hillguard in Blood versus Water, where they had to extend like that over the edge of the waterfall. Yeah, that one. We had something similar where you had to hold on when you fall backwards, but I mean, imagine my weight on these little arms. Jokes. Steffi went home with the idol, was still active and valid. There was 2 hours for him to pee. He knew what he was doing. Wow, okay, but also then strategically having to pee on demand. Well played. Yeah, the wind was blowing so much that I think Steffi got a lot of what was in store for her there. The point is also they need to be pushed to the edge. Don't kill them. Where's the entertainment in that? Yeah, that's the point that a lot of people fail to see, right? Is that the reason that Survivor is so successful is because it puts you into an environment, and I will tell you this until I'm blue in the face, but a lot of people will never understand it. You've watched the show, you've seen it, you understand it, but until you live it, at the same time you are dealing with a lack of sleep. And you see a lot of people sleeping. That's not sleep, guys. That's your body like not being able to function. You don't sleep for longer. Yes, you're snoring. Yes, you're lying down, your eyes are closed, but you don't sleep for longer. Dino, correct me if I'm wrong, for maybe 20 or 15 minutes at a time, because you're lying on bamboo and your body literally doesn't want to do it anymore. And so you have to turn, and you're kind of awake in flux the whole time. So the idea that, oh, people are out here sleeping, people are passing out from exhaustion. So lack of sleep, that's like a form of torture in prisoners of war. Like, that's what they do. Then you have the lack of food, and not just eating of food, but like nourishment. All they are eating is little fish that they caught, if they catch stuff. And again, remember last season when there was that talk about how much energy you exert going to look for food, so mussels, fish, whatever, the energy that you exert there versus the payoff of a few grams of protein, right? Then you've got the other level, which people who've never played this game will never understand. And that is the paranoia and the constant movement in your brain, right? And when I say movement, I'm saying that you see, there was a moment in one of the episodes where Phil was like, I need to think about what to tell somebody. I can't even remember who it was. And you just see him kind of like blankly staring off in the fire. Now that is you working really hard to try and quieten a lot of the voices in your head shouting at you to do one thing, but you have to try and find the logic in the noise. There is so much time to think on Survivor. 3 episodes, 3 days means 1 episode of Survivor. That's a lot of time sitting around doing nothing. And your brain runs a million miles a minute. So when Dino backs me up, they said there is no restful sleep ever. It's because also when you close your eyes, it does not mean that your brain is switched off. So to be turned on right now, they end on like day 24, 25, 26 maybe. So that means your brain is turned on 26 days in a row. There's a reason why we don't work 7 days a week, fam. There's a reason why we only work 8 hours a day. It's because your brain physically cannot control all of that kind of processing all the time. And that's what happens on Survivor. So you put all of that physically, you're also dirty, that lack of physical cleanliness, guys. I can't tell you how important it is. And this is why one of the things that being on Survivor, it's so like Hey Shuao gave me, but was like a lot of empathy for people who sleep on the streets, because the process of cleaning yourself and being clean when you are in a depression, right? I don't suffer from depression. I have had depressive episodes, but I've never suffered from chronic depression. One of the things that you can't get up and shower because you're in such a weird space. Your brain won't allow you to do a basic thing like showering. And once you have showered, if you're sick and you don't want to get up and shower, take a shower. You immediately feel better. So this constant like being unclean, it impacts your brain, guys. It impacts your mood. It impacts your decisions. You feel gross all the time. I was never dry. I had chafe everywhere. It's so bizarre. You will never be in a situation like that, except if you're on Survivor. You never have clean hair. You never have clean teeth. You never take a shit with toilet paper. You piss wherever you want to if you're full. So those things all add up to you being in an environment where you will never find yourself naturally, unless you literally have been marooned in a plane crash or something. So that's what you're basing your decisions on. Then you must still make 1 million, 2 million rand decisions with all of that going on in a human being. And so that's what makes this show so interesting. JC, you are very late, but it's cool. It will all be uploaded later. I'm going to wrap it up, guys. I started a bit late, but here we're going to wrap it up. Okay, so before 8, your top 3 predictions for now. So I've had my top 3. Tajan, I think, will go through, because every time they think Tajan's the threat, think how often Tajan comes second and stuff. At some point, they're going to have Tajan in their crosshairs, and he's going to keep winning. That's my prediction. And I think Kalani might go still a little bit. I'm hoping that Philip will go, but Felix might be there as well. I think Marion is in the crosshairs. Meryl's gone. I can cross her out as well. Meryl's gone with all of her advantages except the one that she gave Tajan. But I think Tajan has got a very, very good chance to sit at the end. And one of the things is because people are underestimating him because he played early. So he doesn't quite understand the strategies involved. My prediction, and I don't know anything, guys. I've told you this before. I watch it with you. I watch it again, and then I talk about it. But I don't know. I haven't spoken to anybody. I don't know who wins this season. But I do think that Tajan is a dark horse. He's erratic. Nobody wants to work with him. But every time it comes to a point where they want to vote him out, somebody else is stronger and a bigger threat. And I think that's what's going to happen. The same as what happened with me. They were like, we'll do it later. We'll do it later. We'll do it later. And then I won too. And then they couldn't. I think that's what's going to happen to Tajan. And if he makes it to the end and he sits next to somebody like Kalani, because at the moment, there are two, in my opinion, I have a feeling he might win. Because I don't see, I don't know, Shane is doing well in my opinion. He's got a great connection with Marion, but if Marion goes, I feel like Shane would be next. Dino, I don't know, he's too much of a threat with being labeled incorrectly or not incorrectly the puzzle king. I think Dino's going to go. Philip and Felix might be able to go a bit further. But at this point, it's hectic. Everybody's a player and everybody is dangerous. So we wait and see. Dante's out, second jury member. Steffi's out. Third jury member went home with an idol. And Meryl went home in a very cool challenge that Marion turned around and won, coming from behind. Really cool challenge where they had to move the key through a maze and open the gate and build a very simple block challenge with many different outcomes. So yeah, very interested to see where we land up next week and who is going to go next. But my prediction for people going next, Marion is in trouble. And then it's going to be interesting to see who cuts first, Philip, Dino, or Felix, because that alliance at some point they're going to have to start culling each other. And do they do that before they take out the goats or the easy votes? I don't know. It all depends on who wins immunity and who wins challenges and rewards and stuff like that. So we will see what happens. But thanks everybody for joining in. If you missed the start of it, it'll be on my Instagram just now. And as soon as I've edited it and my internet, which is super slow, decides to upload it to YouTube, it will also be there. Thanks guys for tuning in every week. I appreciate it. And thank you for not coming on here and spewing hate, because I'm not trying to do that. I'm trying to be a nice human. Okay, bye. I love you all. Take it easy. We'll see you next Sunday at 7 o'clock on Instagram. Thank you so much for commenting and interacting. It's always fun. So thanks, Sunday fam. We'll see you next week. Bye.